All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Legends of Basketball. My name is Eldridge. I'm your host. This is my fourth episode, and today I got none other than one of Detroit's finest, my man Willie Burton, Detroit legend, University of Minnesota legend. We played Willie back in 1989, and he was nice, but man, you're a bad dude when you go into your school's Hall of Fame. But you're a super bad dude when you get your jersey retired. So kind of congratulations, Willie. I saw in January 2020, man, you had your jersey retired, man, and that's just awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want y'all to welcome Willie Burton. He was my teammate with the Atlanta Hawks in the 1996-97 season. Willie, welcome, man. Happy to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Before we get into the Big Ten stuff and the University of Minnesota, why don't you just tell me and the fans what it was like when you found out you was gonna have your number retired? Because I know what it feels like to be in your school's Hall of Fame. I'm in a Hall of Fame at the University of Washington, but man, to have your number hanging in the rafters, that had to be pretty special. So just give us some insight on what that was like.
It was pretty exciting. I was actually riding down the road and got a call, and I want to thank you for bringing that up because sometimes you get honors and you over time you kind of don't pay attention to it as much because I'm really into working with kids. But I got a call riding down the road, and it was the athletic director who's there now, Mark Coyle, and he said that they're going to retire my jersey. And at first, it was a shock because I'm riding down the street. I'm not expecting a call like that. And I called Caitlin at the University basketball office, and she couldn't confirm or deny it. So at that point, I figured it was pretty real.
Well, what does it feel like though, man? I mean, because like I said, when you walk into any arena in America, you walk into Pauley Pavilion, you see all those jerseys hanging in there. When the Seattle Supersonics was here, they had Lenny Wilkens' number up there. They had Spencer Haywood's number up there. So when I walk into the University of Washington for years, man, there was only one number 25, a guy named Bob Hubriggs who played back in the 50s. Led Washington to the NCAA tournament in 1953. But now Brandon Roy's number is up there. Isaiah Thomas's number is up there. But what's that feeling like, man? Because you told me you were at the Washington, Minnesota game. What's that feeling like when you walk into the arena and you see number 34 hanging with Burton on the back?
Well, it's a good feeling. I look up every time I'm at a game just to I glance up, not where anybody can really see me, but I glance up just to make sure that it's real. Um, they've been retiring. It's been long overdue of them retiring players' numbers. Some players such as Trent Tucker, um, Randy Brewer, guys like that went before me deservingly so. It's pretty cool. It's you set a goal, but you don't know if you're going to achieve
Did you
it.
ever did you ever did you ever set a goal? I'm gonna get my number retired.
I
Was
had
that
that
was that
inside.
one of your
Yes,
goals?
yes, I did.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I did. I saw the individuals up there, and I set a goal to try to become one of those individuals. I did.
Wow.
Not knowing it was actually going to happen, but I set that goal as a when I first walked in, because when I came in there, I think there were only four jerseys retired. Now there's like eight, 10.
Well, I'm assuming what Kevin McHale,
Yeah, Kevin
Archie
McHale got
Clark.
his. Yeah. No, Archie Clark is not up there. That's one
Archie's
of the
not
things
up
we
there?
talk about. Yeah,
Oh
Archie's
wow.
not up there.
Wow. I would have thought
Yeah.
Archie was up there.
Yeah,
Michael
Archie.
Thompson?
Yeah, Michael Thompson's definitely up there.
Yeah.
So Michael Thompson, Jim Brewer, Kevin McHale, individuals like that. Then after that came Trent Tucker, Randy Brewer, uh, and then other individuals. They pushed up against the bar. Tommy Davidson, you know, they went right. You had John Shasky. You had quite a few individuals that made it all the way there that are in the Hall of Fame, but that jersey retirement, man, that's here at the University of Minnesota. And I'm sure at most schools, it's not something that they just hand you.
No, it's a different level. There's a guy that I played with named Christian Velp. I'm pretty sure you remember him from your days in the NBA. Hell, you might have been his teammate with the Philadelphia 76ers. That's who he got drafted by. He uh he's still the school's all-time leading scorer, man, and his number is not retired. He wore number 40, and I thought that it should be, but congratulations, man. That's a hell of an accomplishment. And hell, Willie, all these years, man, I'm thinking you from the tough streets of Detroit, but it sounds to me like you must have grew up in Auburn Hills or something, man. St. Martin, St. Martin, the what is it? The
St. Martin
Porus?
DePorres. Yeah,
A private school?
yeah.
Man, I
It
would have
was
thought you
about
went to. I would have thought you went to Persian or Northern or something like that, like DC and Steve Smith. But you was out there with the private school cats, man. Tell me what was up with that?
no. My school was actually on Linwood and Davidson.
Is that
About
in
two
the
blocks.
city?
Yeah, about
Okay.
2 blocks where they held the riots. My school was approximately 2 miles from Derrick School.
Okay.
Uh, yeah,
So
so I
Derrick,
was
so Derrick Coleman was one of your rivals in high school, because if I'm not mistaken, you guys are the same class, correct?
no, no, no. We were in class C. We were a smaller class. My
No, I
school,
mean as far as year.
yeah, as far as year,
You
yeah,
guys both came out of high school at the same time. What, 86?
but for the most part, my team won. I mean, I only lost
What
only
do you
lost
mean?
5 games.
Hold on. What do you mean your team won? What does that mean?
Only lost 5 games in high school.
Did y'all play Derrick Coleman's team?
We didn't get a chance to, but we practiced against them.
Did y'all
So
play
we
Steve
were
Smith's team?
no, they
Okay,
did.
well y'all wasn't the champs of Detroit then. Come on.
Oh,
Y'all was the
we won.
private school champs. That's different.
No, we Operation Friendship champs too with the public and private.
But you didn't play DC and Steve. I'm pretty sure they had to have some of the top teams. All you
Yeah,
got,
but
I tell you what, Willie, why don't you just share with the viewers who you played against that ended up making the league? I know personally of Derrick Coleman, Steve Smith, I think Howard Isley,
BJ
BJ
Armstrong.
Armstrong, but who are some of the other guys? Because for years I didn't know BJ and Howard were from Detroit. But just tell the viewers some of the other guys you played against in high school that ended up making the league.
Well, BJ Armstrong. Now his school was out in the suburbs. My school was in the city of Detroit, smack dab in the middle,
Okay.
uh, on the west side. Um, let's see. Derrick Coleman, we practiced against. We were supposed to play them in the city championship, but that's one of the games that I lost. So we won Operation Friendship. We were. I didn't lose a game my junior year. We were Triple Crown winners, Catholic League, city championship, state championship. I've got 2 state championships. I've went to the state semifinals 3 of my 4 years.
Wow.
Um, 6 of my teammates my senior year was on no five of my teammates my senior year was on 5 different teams in the NCAA tournament. One of my teammates also played in the NBA, who played with me,
Who's that?
Miguel Knight.
No way. You and Miguel Knight went to high school together? I
Yeah,
remember Miguel Knight. I think he played with the Phoenix Suns, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So,
Yeah, I
so we
remember
were high
Miguel.
school. Yeah, we were high school teammates. So I came from a pretty competitive school. My school is still, and it's been closed since 2001. It's still the #1 ranked football program in the city of Detroit. We have WNBA players. We had NBA, as you know, NFL Super Bowl champs. We won the track and field, I think, 19 consecutive years, which is still a state record. My
Wow.
high school was probably one of the most competitive environments outside of professional sports.
Wow.
If you were all state in our school, okay, everybody's all state. That wasn't anything.
That wasn't
You
a
know,
big deal, huh?
wasn't a big deal if you were all state. Now
Well, I'll
you're
tell you
all
what was.
American.
I'll tell
That
you what
set
was a
you
big
apart.
deal to me is I talked to DC about a week ago, and he was telling me about Northern, and he told me that Smokey Robinson, Aretha Franklin, and Betty Shabazz attended Northern High School, which a lot like your school is no longer in existence. So that's just amazing, man. It had to be cool growing up in a city like Detroit with so much history for music. But I think one of the things people don't realize is that you guys were outstanding in basketball as well. I talk about Derrick Coleman and Steve Smith. Those guys are our era, but Spencer Haywood, Ralph Simpson at Persian High School, just some bad boys, man. I believe Willie Norwood is from Detroit.
No,
Archie
it's from
Clark is from
Mississippi.
Detroit.
He's from
He's
Mississippi.
from
But
Mississippi,
my
okay, but he lived in
my
Detroit.
mother my mother also graduated from Northern High School, and so did my aunts and uncles.
So why didn't you go to Northern? You would end up playing with Derrick Coleman. Nobody would have beat you guys.
Well, I used to get in trouble in school a lot. Go figure,
Oh, I'm
right?
surprised, Willie.
Yeah, go figure, right? So I used to get in trouble a lot in school, and it was just best for me to go to St. Martin de Porres.
So sound like your mom made the decision, huh?
Yeah. My
Yeah,
mother
yeah,
made the decision. So I ended up just walking into school. I wasn't recruited. Normally they go find kids and recruit. They were recruiting back then.
yeah.
That's why they were so good. But I was one of the kids that just showed up on a doorstep.
It sounded like
So
you was getting some NIL money, man, back in '86, man.
I wasn't paying full tuition. So
I know that's right.
after they figured after they figured I could play, I wasn't paying full tuition.
So folks, check it out. December 1989, the Washington Huskies traveled all the way to Minnesota to play the Minnesota Golden Gophers, featuring Willie Burton, Melvin Newbern, Walter Bond. I don't remember the dude's first name, but his last name was Lynch. What's Lynch's first
Kevin
name?
Lynch. Kevin
Huh?
Lynch is good.
Kevin
White man
Lynch. They,
can't
they,
jump, right?
they
So you
had a
run into him.
squad. And y'all had a big man that was pretty nice too. Who was y'all center?
Jim Chikajansky, redhead.
Okay, so they had a nice squad. I remember going in there, and it was the only time that I can remember my whole college career of playing on an elevated court. It was like playing on the stage. They call it the barn. Am I right, Willie? The barn?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and Clem Haskins. Am I right? Was your coach?
Yep.
Clem
Yep.
Haskins was the coach, and they had a squad, man. I had a pretty good game. I put up some nice numbers. I think I had like 21 points. I had a nice game. But I believe we lost by like 17. Obviously, Willie had a nice game because Willie at that time was one of the best players in the country. So Willie ended up being the ninth overall pick in the 1990 draft. Derrick Coleman from Detroit, Michigan was the number one overall pick. But Willie was number nine to the Miami Heat, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yeah.
Willie, just share what it was like, man. You said you had a dream of being in the Hall of Fame at Minnesota and having your jersey retired. But what was it like? And I'm assuming you guys went somewhere that was it New York where the draft was held in, and the commissioner, I
Yeah.
don't know who the commissioner was then, called your name out. Just share with the viewers what that was like, man. To hear your name called. What was the lottery? I guess.
Yeah, that was pretty exciting. But one of the things about the University of Minnesota, I think, is that six of my teammates played in the NBA.
Yeah, I know y'all had a squad.
And when we played against you guys, that was one of the games where I think, you guys were double teaming me so hard. I think I only had like 15, 17 points that game. You guys were doubling me so hard, you forgot about the other guys. You
We
know,
didn't
that
forget
was
about
that
them. We couldn't double all you guys.
yeah, that was one of the games
We
where
had to pick
where
the top dog. Your name was highlighted on the scouting report first. Newborn was second, I remember, and then down the line. So I guess we figured if we took the ball out of your hands and made somebody else beat us, that would be the route to go. But y'all just had so many weapons, man.
yeah.
Yeah, y'all had a lot of weapons, man. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that was I vividly remember that game. And I vividly remember that, you know, I got to a point where I could understand getting 15, 17 points, but letting those guys and allowing those guys to get their opportunities because when I passed on the ball, teams paid the price. So what I learned, and that was really important during that early part of my senior year, I learned that I could depend on them. And also I learned once I gave them the ball and they made a few buckets, you guys had to quit double teaming me because, it's like we thought Willie was going to get 25. Melvin's got 15 at halftime. Now what are you going to do? You know,
Yeah,
you're
y'all
going to
had a
adjust.
lot of weapons, man. I mean,
Yeah,
Walt
you're
was
going to
nice,
adjust and you're
Lynch
going to
was
stay on
nice.
me.
Y'all had a nice squad, man. I will say that. I found the stat sheet, Willie. So let me see here. It says, yeah, it was December 20th, 1989.
Okay.
Willie Burton 6 for 13 from the field for 16 points.
Told you.
But Newbern is the one that killed us. Melvin Newbern was 8 for 12. He had 8 rebounds. He finished with 23.
I told that's what I
I
said. I
led
remember
us
that.
in scoring. I was 8 for 15 from the field, 3 for 6 from three. I had 21. But I just remember that game, man. And I believe you guys was the only Big Ten school we played that year. But you guys were loaded because Iowa was loaded. I mean, Michigan was loaded. That's the year Michigan made it to the Final Four and I think won it with Glenn Rice and Ramil Robinson. I mean, Illinois was loaded. Illinois made the Final Four with Stephen Bardo, Kendall Gill, Kenny Battle. I mean, man,
So let's say the Big Ten was loaded.
well, one of the reasons I started this podcast was I wanted to introduce the Big Ten fans to the West Coast teams.
Okay.
Washington, UCLA, USC, and Oregon. But you guys were absolutely loaded back then. What was that like, man, playing against all those top teams like that? I had played against Michigan State my freshman year, and Scott Skiles gave us 30 in the tournament. He gave us the business, but we never played at a Big Ten school. So playing you guys in Minnesota was the first time. What was that like playing? I'm assuming you had the guard Glenn, who had that cold-blooded jumper, and then Roy
Yeah,
Marble at Iowa. I mean,
yeah.
Kenny Battle and Kendall Gill at Illinois. I mean, man, the
With
conference
most of the
was
teams
loaded
we
back then.
split. With most of the teams we split. It's hard to win on the road in the Big Ten. You split. You made sure you won your home games. That's
Yeah.
the best you could do. It was always tight coming down the end, seeing who was in the lead in the Big Ten because everyone was split. But every now and then someone would win a home game. That's why they thought Illinois was going to beat Michigan because they beat them two previous times. They beat them at Michigan and they beat them at Illinois. So they just assumed when they met in the Final Four that Illinois was going to automatically win. And Michigan had a different coach and they did some things a little bit differently. And that kind of gave Michigan an edge over Illinois because Illinois pound for pound at that time, even with Michigan having as many NBA players as it had, Illinois, pound for pound, man for man, was the best team to me in the country at that time. Because
They,
they could go 5-5. Iowa could do that too, but Iowa's they didn't have the level of players in their 5-5. Illinois had NBA had 5, 6, 7 NBA players easily.
but they
You
were
know,
all 6'4" to 6'7". I remember Michigan. Now I mentioned Glenn Rice, Ramil Robinson, but they had Terry Mills also.
you had Terry Mills, you had Sean Higgins, you had
They had
Ramel
Sean
Robinson.
Higgins.
Yeah, you had Mark
Well,
Hughes, you had Loy
what
Vaught,
the hell are you talking about? All
you
them
had
dudes
Loy
played in the
Vaught,
league.
you had Loy Vaught.
Yeah, Lloyd Bart. They was just as loaded as Illinois, in my opinion. Illinois might have been a little bit more athletic. They was more on the highlight reel for the high wire act with Battle and Gill dunking on everybody. But
Yeah,
Michigan
but
had
you
a
got
squad, man.
yeah, I know. I'm not taking anything away from Michigan. Again, the Big Ten, all teams were loaded. That's without question. But Illinois had firepower. They could come out and put points on you yesterday. That was what they could do. I remember vividly playing against both teams. Michigan was good. Don't get me wrong, could beat you, but they beat you methodically over time, over a period of time. Illinois could come out and they're flying everywhere right now from every position.
Yeah.
You
Hence
know
the
what I mean?
nickname. Hence the nickname, the Flying Illini. But you also played against Steve Smith at Michigan State. Like I said, this seemed I don't know who Indiana had. Who did Indiana have at that
Jay
time?
Edwards.
Jay Edwards. Jay was nice in college, yeah.
Yeah.
So the conference was loaded, man. I mean, I was disappointed that the Pac-12 went under Willie, but I'm excited to be a part of the Big Ten, man. I work for the Big Ten Network, NBC Sports, and FS1. So it's pretty cool, man. I can't wait. Hopefully next year I'll get some games on the road so I can check out some of these arenas, man. Because like I said, I don't know what it's like to be, in Indiana or at Michigan State or even at Illinois. The only school we played when I was in school was you guys. And since
Yeah.
I had you on lockdown, Willie, I don't remember no double team. I thought I had you on lockdown 1-on-1. Just share with us what's your most memorable moment and who was your rival in the Big Ten at that time? What do
Well,
you
our
think your
rival
most
was
memorable game?
actually Iowa was our rival, but I played pretty well against all the teams, but Iowa was our rival. Because they call it border battle. Iowa and here, you have the border battles. So
Okay.
we're borders to the south by Iowa and to the east by Wisconsin.
Okay.
Now, of course, we didn't see them as battles. We have, in football, you have those the awards. We got the pig, you have the axe.
Y'all got football, Willie?
Yeah, we
I ain't,
just
I
went
ain't,
to
I ain't know Minnesota had football, man.
they just went to a bowl. They just won the Mayo Bowl.
Well, Michigan and Ohio State run the Big Ten for football. That's what it's been historically, right?
Hold on a second, man.
I ain't know y'all had football. Willie, I'm sorry, man. I ain't know the Golden Gophers had a football team, man. I thought y'all was like DePaul or Gonzaga or somebody, man. I thought it was just a basketball. Well, I actually thought it was a hockey school because I remember that damn ice y'all had underneath the court when I played there. I know hockey's big in Minnesota.
Yeah, hockey's really big in Minnesota, really, really big. But always good and we were good. We're good in football also, so we're pretty good. Going to
I'm
bowls.
joking, but I honestly didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, they just won the Mayo Bowl. Uh,
What the hell is
um,
the Mayo Bowl?
I don't know. They got more bowls nowadays than you shake a stick at.
You
So nowadays, so
come
as
on,
you can,
Willie. I'm used you dumb. I'm used to the national championship game, the rose. You see the hat, baby. You know what time it is. The Rose Bowl. The
yeah, it's
Orange
it's
Bowl.
typically Michigan, Ohio State, but what's been happening here lately is the Pac-10 is getting an idea of what it's like to compete in the Big Ten
Oh, no
across
doubt,
sports.
no doubt.
So they're seeing that teams are stacked, is highly competitive, and anyone can beat you at any time. It's not like, oh, we're playing against, Northwestern, or we can just beat them. No, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
It
Northwestern
doesn't
didn't
work
have
that way.
Northwestern wasn't that good back in our day, but I will say, that Coach Collins has done a fantastic job at Northwestern. And as you mentioned, man, there's just no there's no off days. You were going to tell me your most memorable moment in the Big Ten, so go ahead on and share that.
I would say my most memorable moment was against Iowa. We played Iowa that day. Had BJ and Roy. Um, they were always stacked. They had not that time, but they had Kevin Gamble. They had Brad Lohaus. I mean,
Yeah,
they had players. You know what I'm
Matt
saying?
Bullard was there for a little while. Yeah,
Yeah, Matt Bullock was on that team too.
yeah.
So just getting past them, I think, because Tom Davis came with a different scheme. He would play five, and then he would sub another five. That's how deep they were. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I remember
So
playing against Iowa my freshman year. Well, I don't know if you guys ever played in it, but there used to be a tournament in Anchorage, Alaska called the Great Alaska Shootout.
yeah, I
It was
remember.
us. It was Louisville with Purvis Ellison. It was Iowa with BJ and Roy Marble. It was Northeastern with Reggie Lewis. I mean, man, that tournament was just absolutely loaded, man. I never in college got one shot blocked twice, but I got one shot blocked twice. I
You
think
got one
I
shot
can't
blocked twice. What happened? Tell me about
Louisville.
what
I
happened.
think the brother named Herbert somebody blocked it and it was still going up, and then Purvis just killed it. So I said, I ain't going in the lane no more. But that was a loaded tournament, man. Because Reggie Lewis at Northeastern at that time, who ended up passing away with the Boston Celtics, one of the coldest cats
Yeah.
in the country, man. But BJ Armstrong and that Iowa team, they were loaded too. You guys have had some bad boys and some big time squads in the Big Ten, man, and some great players out of Minnesota. I'm going to fast forward a little bit and just talk about. I'm imagining that Coach Haskins had to be his Black History Month is February, and I'm imagining that Coach Haskins had to be the first black head coach at Minnesota. What was it like playing for him?
It was pretty good. It was pretty demanding. But he was someone who played in the NBA, so he could tell us things, and he gave us insight on playing that I'm sure, as you can see, gave us an advantage. I mean, I think he had like 13 NBA players, you know. Um,
Was that one
so
of the reasons you went to Minnesota?
well, actually, I signed under someone else, but I ended up staying because of I like the Twin Cities,
Well, Coach
and at the
Haskins
time,
didn't recruit you. Who was the previous
no.
coach?
Dutcher recruited me, but there was something that happened with the team, and but I like the Twin Cities. That's why I'm here now.
What was your who else was recruiting you, Willie? Who was your second choice?
My second choice was Michigan State.
Michigan State. So
Yeah,
oh man, that would have been a cold squad, but you and Smitty on the same squad.
yeah,
Oh
but
Lord.
I needed to get away from home. I needed to get away from home at that time, at that age. I really did.
No,
So
I hear you. I know what it's like, man, when you grew up in the hood. I'm from New Orleans, from the lower Ninth Ward. That sounds a lot like Detroit. I mean, I've been to Detroit, but when we played in the league, the Pistons was out in Auburn Hills, so you didn't really spend a lot of time in the city. You were kind of out in the suburbs. But I used to go to Coco's joint. Coco's used to have a comedy club there. I used to go to Coco's because one of my teammates, you probably know Steve Hall, that played
yeah,
at Cass
yeah,
Tech.
yeah.
Well, Steve played with me at Washington. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, man, that was cool. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit to the NBA, Willie, because as I mentioned, you were drafted ninth overall, but you're one of the few people in the history of the game that scored 50, man. In 1994, when you remember the Philadelphia 76ers, you dropped 53 on your old team, the Miami Heat. just explain to me what that's like. I mean, I've scored 50 before, but hell, it was probably in a rec league or something. It wasn't in college, and it sure in the hell wasn't in the NBA. But just tell the fans what that's like, man. What type of zone were you in where you could drop 50 in the NBA with the best players in the world?
Well, basically, what happens is I put four quarters together. So I was a scorer. That's what I was known for. I had 25 points in my first NBA game, so I
Your
could
first game as
score.
a rookie?
My first game, I had
Damn,
25.
damn.
Yeah,
Who was
yeah, I
your
was a
coach with
scorer.
it? Because that wasn't Pat Riley back then, was it?
No, it was Ron Rothstein was our coach.
Okay, Ron Rothstein. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Yep.
I could score. Even coming off the bench, as you know, I could score 12 points in 12 minutes.
Oh, I know. I know.
So
Long,
what
six,
happened
seven,
was,
long, athletic. I know. Had a nice jumper. Oh yeah, I know.
so what happened, all what happened was I took four quarters. I took four of those quarters playing with you that you seen when I get going, and it just stayed for four quarters. That's what happened.
So you hear people say he's in the zone. So you were literally in the zone. Only
I was in the
19
zone.
field goal attempts though. Well, that's the crazy part about it. You only took 19 shots and got 53. And if I'm not mistaken, I read that that's the it says that's the second fewest attempts in a 50-point game.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's impressive, man.
As you know, I think I got to look again, but I was an all-time free throw making attempt here at the University of Minnesota. I think I led NBA small forwards one year in free throw attempts and makes. So I was always going to the free throw line. As you know, you see me go to the free throw line
Well, you
many
were
times.
long, man, and cats couldn't stop you from getting to the cup. And then you were so damn athletic. I don't think they had a chance but to foul you. But I can't get over the fact that you could have played with DC somewhere in college, or Steve Smith, and y'all didn't get together like they do today and say, hey man, let's all go to the same school like the Fab Five. We're Big Ten guys now. Talking about Michigan, I think they got together. Chris Webber, I believe, is from the Detroit area.
Yes.
Jalen Rose obviously is from Detroit. But you guys didn't talk about playing together at all?
No, not at that time. Um, I think I think one of the things that happened with the Michigan team is that the fact that guys were apart. They were all from somewhere else. You know, if we would have done that, I think Michigan did that though. Michigan team was the majority of Michigan players outside of Gary Grant, let's just say, for instance. Michigan used to be stacked with Michigan players.
Yeah,
Then it turned around, and then Michigan State was packed with Michigan State players.
yeah.
So it just kind of depended. I was supposed to go to Michigan State. I was going to go to Michigan State, but I came up here and saw the Twin Cities, and I was like, I was like two big cities, and at the time the Timberwolves didn't exist. So the University of Minnesota, can you imagine in these Twin Cities
Was the
being a
big show in
professional
town.
team?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so you are like professional athletes. You
They
you
must
are.
they, they must have flew you out there in the summertime because I'll be damn. I've been there in the winter when the Timberwolves were around, and man, -10 degrees. You can have that, Willie.
It was it was
I've been to
minus
I've been
it
to
was minus 40.
Minnesota in the wintertime, and woo,
It was
man,
minus 40 the other
that
day.
weather ain't no joke. That weather
Yeah.
is no joke, man.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Nowadays, though, they have things like automatic start and things of that nature. Plus, we have a lot of things also that I think people may overlook. We've got a lot to do in the wintertime. We've got the Mall of
Yeah, like
America
stay
indoor.
inside. That's
Yeah,
the number
we've got
one thing to do.
yeah, yeah, indoor. We across campus, I can walk from building to building underground. I don't
You
have
don't
to
have
go
to go
outside.
outside. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember all the
So,
tunnels and sky bridges they had there. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I remember all of that.
yeah.
So, what would you say? What would you say was your fondest memory of being a member of the Big Ten and going to Minnesota? And it doesn't have to be basketball. Maybe it could be off the court. What would you say your fondest memory was?
My fondest memory in the Big Ten, actually, because it was always a dream of mine to play in the Big Ten. I mean, just like when you grow up, that's all you see is everyone on TV. You know, I go see and I see Brad Sellers and all the guys that I watched in the Big Ten growing up. I know and I'm friends with, and I let them know, hey man, I watched you growing up. And then guess what happens? The new kids come back, that played in the Big Ten, Jalen Rose, Chris Webber, and all those guys, and they tell us the same thing.
Yeah,
Hey, we watch you play. Hey, we say, it's kind of cool. So there's a historical heritage with that. And what I think UCLA had that. You guys also had to have that in the Pac-10. So you understand what I'm talking about,
oh
guys.
yeah,
That
for
yeah,
sure.
So, that right there is fun to me because the game is going to end. Just just having the ability to see those that I watched growing up and going into those arenas for the first time and actually looking up, you know, when you
Yeah.
can see those arenas on TV and you go in and you look up and I watch.
UCLA, none bigger. 10 national championships in a row, man. The first time I walked in the Poly, I was like a deer in the headlights, man. You had heard about John Wooden in the Pyramid and Kareem Walton, Marcus Johnson, Sidney Wicks, Curtis Rowe. I mean, the list just goes on and on. When I was there, they had Reggie Miller, who I'm sure I know you remember because you probably had the guard Reggie your time in
Yeah,
the league. But they also had a brother named Pooh Richardson who was from Philadelphia. That was the point guard when I was there. And then towards the end, they had a guy named Trevor Wilson, Derrick Martin, Don McClain, guys like that. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, man. Just the history of walking into a building like that. And I can't imagine. I got to ask you this, man, because from the outside, he seemed like he was crazy. But what was it like going into Assembly Hall and playing against the Bobby Knight teams?
it was exactly what you think. It was off the chain. It
Bobby
he
Knight ain't never cut you out, did he?
No, he liked me. He told me he liked me. He told me to my
Well,
face
I
he
bet he
liked me.
did. You had a nice game. I bet he
I
did
didn't I
like
didn't say anything, but I just looked at him because you have to understand Bobby will say something that Bobby will say something that that uncle that walks into the room and everybody gets
Yeah.
quiet.
Yeah.
That was Bob Knight. I saw Bob Knight do something my freshman year, and I understood clearly he is basketball. I saw him. The referees called something and made a call, and you can't hear anything because it's loud. And back then, it wasn't a lot of wires where you can hear sound. I stood there. It was a timeout. The team went by, and it was Bobby Knight. I just wanted to stand and look at him, kind of close. I'm a freshman. This is Bobby Knight. I'm in Assembly Hall. Now we almost beat them. That was the national championship team. We almost beat them, and it was four freshmen on the floor
Yeah.
in Assembly Hall. And he turned to the officials and he started lighting them up, man. He told the official, "I'm going to take that whistle and stick it up your blank." And I looked, and I'm thinking a technical
Did he
foul
get
or
a
something's
tech? He
going to
didn't get
come.
a tech?
Didn't get anything,
Oh wow. Yeah,
nothing.
they were scared of him, man. And but Willie, Bobby Knight's a big dude. I'm 6'3". Bobby Knight was taller than me. I think he was probably about 6'5".
Yeah,
Yeah, Bobby Knight was a big dude, man, intimidating. Yeah, but I think all the guys that played the game respected him because of his knowledge of the game and how great of a coach he was. Obviously, he was a hothead, throwing chairs. Alan Henderson told me when he played for Bobby Knight at Indiana. Alan was our teammate in Atlanta. You were on the team. He told
yeah,
me one time they were having a bad practice, and Bobby Knight went and got a 5-gallon bucket,
yeah. I
set it in
heard
the middle
about
of the
that.
court, and took a crap in it and said, "This is what you guys is playing like."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And that's just the stories that we know about, man. I can't
yeah,
imagine the things he did when nobody was around in practice. Yeah,
yeah.
Bobby Knight, one of the all-time greats, but also one of the all-time craziest dudes that ever coached in college basketball. But a
He he
legend, no
he
doubt,
he held
of the
no
Indiana
punches.
team. Yeah.
I mean, anytime a person could go on TV and say, "I hope you bury me face down so the world can kiss my," I mean, come on, man. When the time is over, bury me face down
Oh, he
so
was
the
he was
world
one of
can.
a kind, man. There ain't no
Goodness,
doubt about
man.
that. I don't think there's ever been anybody like him before, and they sure as hell wouldn't be nobody like him after him, man. In this era that we're in now, but one of the all-time greatest, man. It had to be cool to go in there. I laugh every time I still see those candy cane warm-ups that they wear, man. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. But I've never been in Assembly Hall, man. I can't wait to one day go in there. Hopefully, I can go in there and call a game. I just found out today that I have the Indiana at Washington game on March 1st. That's going to be on NBC Sports. So I'm excited about that because I know Mike Woodson played for Indiana, and he's
Yeah,
the head coach there now and played in the
yeah,
league. But it's just cool to be a part of the Big Ten, man. I'm trying to introduce all the Midwest and East fans of the Big Ten, some of the West Coast people, like I said. So I appreciate you being on here, man. And won't you tell the fans what you're doing now? Because you're back in Minnesota. If I'm not mistaken, you're working for the university, correct?
yes, yes. I'm an instructor at the University of Minnesota. I'm in the third year of my PhD program, kinesiology, sports psychology, and sport exercise. Just working with kids, working with students. I've written about 10 curricula. I'm a national ambassador to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, behavioral health. I'm appointed by the governor of Michigan, physical fitness, health, and sports on the governor's council. And I'm in the process of being appointed here in Minnesota also on the Governor's Council of Amateur Sports. So I'm pretty busy with youth programs and sports.
That's cool, man. You've always been a cool brother, Willie. I thought we hit it off pretty good, man, in Atlanta. We've kept in touch all the time since then. So I really appreciate you being on the show, man. And congratulations on getting your PhD, man. That's big time right there. I'm really impressed, man. You were a hell of a player, but I just want to let the folks out there know that Willie's probably a better person. Like I said, never had any beef with Willie. Always a cool cat. So I'm happy to see you being successful, man, and back at your alma mater. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me on, and I appreciate the kind words.